Chapter 15: Constraint and Fragility. Imagine walking across a suspension bridge. The structure appears solid, stable, reliable. Cars move across it. People cross without hesitation. Most of the time, nobody thinks much about the forces holding it together. The tension in the cables, the stresses within the steel, the limits of the materials, the engineering trade-offs embedded within the design. The bridge appears simple because the complexity remains hidden. Civilization often works the same way. When systems function smoothly, their underlying constraints become nearly invisible. Electricity flows. Food arrives. Water runs. Networks operate. Hospitals function. Supply chains deliver. Life proceeds. Success hides the conditions that make success possible. In the previous chapters, we explored energy and complexity. Energy provides civilization's physical foundation. Complexity allows civilization to achieve extraordinary levels of coordination. Yet another question remains: what are the limits? What happens when systems encounter constraints? And how does complexity influence resilience? One of the recurring lessons of history is that every system operates within boundaries. Physical boundaries, economic boundaries, ecological boundaries, psychological boundaries, institutional boundaries. Civilizations are no exception. No society possesses unlimited resources, unlimited attention, unlimited energy, unlimited time. Choices must be made. Trade-offs must be navigated. Reality imposes constraints whether people acknowledge them or not. This observation can feel uncomfortable. Human beings often prefer stories of limitless possibility. Progress, growth, innovation. And indeed, history contains many examples of remarkable achievements. Yet progress itself operates within conditions. Possibilities expand. Constraints remain. The challenge of civilization is not eliminating constraints. It is learning how to navigate them wisely. Energy provides one example. In the previous chapter, we explored civilization's dependence upon energy. The amount of available energy influences what a society can sustain. Transportation networks, manufacturing systems, communication infrastructure, data centers, agricultural production. Every complex activity depends upon physical resources. The more ambitious the system, the more important those resources become. Complexity introduces another kind of constraint. Every new layer of coordination creates additional dependencies. Roads depend upon maintenance. Power grids depend upon fuel and infrastructure. Financial systems depend upon trust. Hospitals depend upon supply chains. The more interconnected a civilization becomes, the more difficult it becomes to isolate failures. Strength and vulnerability often grow together. This helps explain a paradox of civilization. Many systems appear strongest precisely when their hidden dependencies are least visible. Success can create complacency. Reliability can conceal fragility. People gradually forget the conditions supporting the outcomes they enjoy. Only disruptions reveal what had been quietly sustaining the system all along. History repeatedly illustrates this pattern. Periods of stability encourage assumptions of permanence. Periods of prosperity encourage confidence. Institutions become familiar. Infrastructure becomes expected. The extraordinary becomes ordinary. Yet beneath the surface, maintenance remains necessary. Renewal remains necessary. Adaptation remains necessary. Nothing sustains itself indefinitely. This does not mean collapse is inevitable, nor does it mean fragility dominates everything. Civilizations are often remarkably resilient. Human beings adapt, institutions evolve, technologies improve, problems are solved. The story of civilization contains extraordinary examples of recovery and renewal. Resilience is real. The point is simply that resilience requires effort. It emerges from continuous adaptation rather than permanent stability. One useful way to think about fragility is through the relationship between efficiency and resilience. Highly efficient systems often eliminate redundancy. Everything is optimized. Resources are tightly allocated. Slack disappears. The result can be impressive, yet redundancy frequently serves a purpose. Spare capacity, backup systems, safety margins, buffers. These may appear inefficient during normal times. During disruptions, they often become invaluable. Nature provides countless examples. The human body contains reserves, Ecosystems contain diversity. Redundancy appears repeatedly in resilient systems. Civilizations face similar trade-offs. Maximum efficiency and maximum resilience are not always the same thing. Wise societies learn to balance both. This realization reveals a broader truth. Many of civilization's most important realities involve trade-offs rather than solutions. Freedom and order, innovation and stability, efficiency and resilience, growth and sustainability, centralization and decentralization. The goal is rarely perfection. The goal is navigation. Understanding the tensions and managing them thoughtfully. A pattern should now be becoming visible. Throughout this book, we have repeatedly descended beneath the surface. Behind institutions lay trust. Behind trust lay identity. Behind identity lay stories. Behind social systems lay energy. Behind complexity lie constraints. The deeper we look, the more we encounter reality's boundaries, not as obstacles to be defeated, but as conditions to be understood. This may be one of the most important shifts in perspective the study of civilization can provide. Many public conversations focus on what people want. Far fewer focus on what reality permits. Civilizations flourish when aspirations remain connected to constraints, when dreams remain connected to resources, when plans remain connected to physical and social realities. Ignoring constraints does not eliminate them. It merely postpones their arrival. At the same time, constraints are not enemies. A bridge requires constraints to stand. Music requires constraints to create harmony. Language requires constraints to communicate meaning. Civilizations require constraints to remain coherent. The question is not whether constraints exist. The question is whether we understand them. Closing orientation. Civilization is an extraordinary achievement, yet it remains embedded within reality. Energy is finite. Attention is finite. Resources are finite. Human beings are finite. Every system operates within limits. Recognizing those limits is not pessimism. It is wisdom. The goal is not to fear fragility, nor to assume permanence. The goal is to see clearly, to appreciate the remarkable complexity of civilization while remaining aware of the conditions that sustain it. Humility begins where reality is allowed to speak. We have now explored civilization from many angles. Human beings, stories, beliefs, identity, trust, institutions, incentives, energy, complexity, constraint. A final question remains. What wisdom emerges from seeing all of these layers together? What patterns repeat across history? What perspective becomes possible when we step back and view civilization as a whole? To answer those questions, we turn to the final part of our journey,